Well, okay, for a change, I'm not crying. Because of Tatiana's help, I can now talk about LRH and some of my history and my broken heart that things didn't go exactly the way I wanted them to, and I don't cry. I get a little teary, perhaps, but I don't start weeping. Not that there's anything wrong with weeping. In fact, one of the things I've noticed about people in my age group, that means like I'll be 80 in March, that's 80 times around the sun on the spaceship called Planet Earth. 80 times, big deal. We just keep going around, right? I'm a passenger. But anyway, I've noticed people in my age group don't cry easily. A lot of them have, I mean, not necessarily people that have ever been audited, but just regular people that I know in my age group seem to have a lot of frozen emotion. I mean, they can laugh, but they don't laugh as hard as they used to. They don't cry easily. They don't emote as much as they used to, which is why if you know an old person and you want to make them feel more lively and happier and more aware and more conscious, you can take some of the things from early Dianetics, recall processes, the self-analysis list, there's a little book you can use, and also processes like tell me something you wouldn't mind forgetting. Tell me something you wouldn't mind remembering. Because in order to forget, in order to need to remember, you have to forget something first. So if you run tell me something you wouldn't mind forgetting, they'll tell you all kinds of things and open up their lives again. So there's tremendous things in what I think of as geriatric Dianetics and Scientology, and that goes for old-timers in Dianetics and Scientology also, because one of the most dynamite things you can do for yourself or another person, which anybody can do, you don't have to be a trained auditor, is do something called running pleasure moments. Since pleasure moments have to do a lot with survival, and pleasure moments throughout a person's life are those moments when something usually wonderful happens. If you tell a person, I want you to recall a pleasure moment, like Tatiana might do, and they say, yeah, I was remembering the time I graduated high school, or the time I got the Medal of Honor, or whatever. And you say, now, I'd like you to get the feeling of that moment, and just re-experience it as fully as possible, then shut up and let them do it. And when they've done that, and you can see by their face and how they're feeling that they're happier, say, now I'd like you to find another pleasure moment. And you just get moment after moment like that until the person is once again bursting with joy and exhilaration, or at least they come as close as possible. And you're finding out one of the most basic Dianetic processes in the book. We didn't used to start out running engrams. That might have been too heavy for a person to confront, but they can confront pleasure moments, and they can get used to experiencing that moment from the beginning to the end with your help, and going over it and over it until they can actually relive it. Now they're getting all of that joy and pleasure and life back again. So if you know anybody, it could be a child, an adult, a very old person, and you run pleasure moments on them, you will restore a great deal of life and livingness. And I mentioned that on another list before, but getting people to do these things isn't as easy as saying it. But anyway, I hope you who do listen will, just for the fun of it, find somebody and run pleasure moments, please. And if you want to, write and let me know how it went. Okay, enough of that. The thing I wanted to get into is, I have been asked, well, why do you spend these moments with the camera running? Why do you spend so much time between 1950 and 1960? In case I haven't made that perfectly clear, it's because that's the L. Ron Hubbard that interested me in the first place. That is the L. Ron Hubbard that I wanted to help as much as I've ever wanted to help anything or anyone. And the Dianetics and Scientology of between 1950 and 1960 were for me, and I believe it's true, the most basic, clearest, and most fundamental statement of both subjects. The real basics and the most illuminated communications, as far as I'm concerned, that LRH ever made occurred in that period. For example, he had something that he did, a course in Philadelphia, here in the United States, and he did, I don't know, I think 60 lectures, and we call it, us old-timers call it the PDC. It means the Philadelphia Doctorate Course Lectures. And I promise you, if you listen to those lectures, you'll understand what I'm talking about when I say that is the L. Ron Hubbard, who was, for my money, a great genius, who had an incredible message to communicate, and in language that you, I, anybody can understand. It's an incredibility. And that's just one of the things. Some of the books he wrote in that period, like A History of Man, or What to Audit, or Science of Survival, or Dianetics 55, or Scientology 88008. Those books will knock your socks off, I promise you, because they will indicate, as they did for me, that there's a lot of what could be called truth, or at least information that is valuable if you're planning to stick around on a crazy planet and play games and get crazy yourself, but learn how to get sane again. That's the real trick, is to play the games, get yourself and everybody else screwed up doing it eventually, and learn how to come out of that and come back again as a player, instead of ending up as a wounded player, a spectator, or someone who's like, I don't want to ever play any more games, you can get hurt. Whoa. The computations that you'll run into when you start discussing or looking at games with people are so incredible as to why they don't just get out into life and do something, create some effects. You'll find that looking their case over, their engrams, their life, they've run into too many things playing games that said, you lose, and it hurts. Don't do it again. Well, that can all be handled. And the 1950 technology can do that. I'm not saying the rest of it isn't great too, but that period is basic. That's where it all really developed. And I know of some things that Ron came up with beyond that were pretty darn neat too. But that period has the fundamental understandings of Dianetics and Scientology. I place my hand on something, maybe it's the Buddhist scriptures, and tell you, I swear that's true. Anyway, so thank you for listening to that. So, let's see. Okay, I just wanted to tell you that, and when I speak again, I'm going to tell you why around 1980 I said, that's it. I'm finished. I'm finished with the Church of Scientology as it evolved. I'm finished with being a foremost supporter and what you call it, loyal soldier in the field for L. Ron Hubbard, and I ended my career also as an operating Scientologist, Dianeticist, and to some degree an operational being. But I'll give you my reasons and my understandings, and for now, with a big grin, someone said I had a good smile. Let's see. I don't know. Anyway, I'll come back again in the next segment. Thank you.